The judges awarded the championship to the white cowboy, so the crowd took him apart piece by piece. Picture this: 1911, Pendleton, Oregon, the very first World Championship saddle bronc riding competition the West had ever seen. Dozens of the greatest horsemen in America competing for a single prize. A silver-trimmed saddle worth $350. The final round came down to 3 riders. Jackson Sundown, a Nez Perce warrior who'd spent his entire life on horseback. John Spain, a young white rancher from an established Oregon family. And George Fletcher, a black cowboy from Kansas who grew up on the Umatilla Reservation, learning from tribal horsemen who taught him everything they knew. Sundown rode first. According to the Cowboys and Indians magazine documentation and the Pendleton Round-Up Hall of Fame records, his horse Lightfoot collided with a judge's mount mid-ride and threw him. The judges could have given him another chance. Instead, they disqualified him. Spain went next, atop a horse named Long Tom. Spain's horse broke through a wooden fence separating the arena from the spectators. He touched the saddle horn to keep his balance. According to witnesses documented in the East Oregonian newspaper, that was a disqualification. The judges ruled he pulled leather, but Spain still received first-place consideration. Then came Fletcher. According to the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum records, Fletcher unquestionably made the best ride of the afternoon. His performance was flawless. The crowd erupted. They knew what they'd witnessed. They knew excellence when they saw it. They were chanting his name before he even dismounted. But the judges looked at his skin and made their decision. First place went to Spain. Second place went to Fletcher. The crowd lost its mind, not in celebration, in rage. According to eyewitness accounts preserved by the Pendleton Round-Up Hall of Fame and the East Oregonian newspaper, the entire stadium began to move. Spectators started dismantling the grandstand plank by plank. It was becoming a riot. The system had exposed itself completely. They were willing to strip the very structure of the arena rather than accept this injustice. Umatilla County Sheriff Till Taylor saw what was happening. Instead of bringing the crowd down, he did something extraordinary. He walked over to George Fletcher, took his black cowboy hat, and cut it into small pieces. Then he started selling the scraps for $5 each, not as a mockery, as a statement. He raised nearly $700, double the prize money, double the championship saddle. And when the collection was done, Sheriff Taylor handed every cent to Fletcher and declared him the people's champion. The crowd chanted it over and over. The people's champion. Not some judge's decision, not some official certification. The people had spoken. They recognized what the system refused to acknowledge. According to Oregon Black Pioneers documentation, this moment became legendary in rodeo history. It became known as the last go-round, the final moment when the frontier didn't belong to the judges or the officials. It belonged to the people who could recognize brilliance. But here's the bitter truth. Fletcher's brilliance made him dangerous. According to historical records in the National Cowboy Hall of Fame, after that day, other cowboys began refusing to compete against him. Not because they wanted to give him respect, because they wanted to avoid the humiliation of losing to a black man. Large rodeos wouldn't invite him. The infrastructure of the sport closed around him, crushing him out. He kept riding in smaller competitions until World War I. During the war, serving in France, he sustained a leg injury that ended his competitive days forever. By the time they inducted Fletcher into the Pendleton Round-Up Hall of Fame in 1969, decades had passed. 58 years later, by the time they built a bronze statue of him in Pendleton in 2014, he'd been dead for 40 years. But the memory lived. The people's champion, the man the system tried to erase, the man the crowd refused to forget. This is what happens when excellence meets resistance. When talent is undeniable, but the system refuses to acknowledge it. The people see it. The people remember it, even when they try to bury it. So tell me, what George Fletchers are out there right now? What talent are we overlooking because of who someone is instead of what they can do? Are you one of them? And when you see excellence being denied, where do you stand? Do you chant like the crowd at Pendleton, or do you stay silent? Comment below, share this story, and follow because the people's champion deserves to be remembered.